In this video in the Velixel project series, we're going to build a Project Expense Variance report. Here we see an expense variance report for all of our active projects. The report compares our actual expenses to date with the current revised budget amounts. Let's get started with this report. If we take a look in our ERP, here we see all the account groups that are defined. We'll need to bring this data into Excel to create our list of expense account groups. Now let's go to the projects list. If we select one of our projects and then go to the Balances tab, the columns we are interested in for this report are the actual amount and then revised budget amount. Let's go to Excel. Once we have established a connection to our ERP, we can start our report. The first thing we'll want to do is bring our account groups into Excel. Since this is an expense variance report, we'll want to then find our expense account groups. We can get this information from the PM account group generic inquiry. So let's start by placing the name of our connection, the name of that inquiry, and a filter for that inquiry in our report. Next, let's create a Velixo GI function, where we'll reference the connection name, the name of our generic inquiry, and the filter we defined to only return our active projects. We'll just want the account group ID and the type for each group. And there's no reason to include the column headers, so we'll set that option to false. That gives us a list of all of our account groups. Let's extract just the expense groups. We can do that with Excel's filter function. Since both the data we want to return, the account group, and the criteria we want to examine, the type, are contained in a single Excel array, we can use Excel's index function to determine which column we want to look at. We'll have the filter function return the first column whenever the value of the second column is expense. Now that we have an array of the expense groups, let's build this into a Velixel filter by combining them into a list separated by semicolons. We'll just use Excel's text join function to do that. Let's give this list a name to make it easier to access in our report. While we're at it, let's give this worksheet a better name. And then create a new worksheet for our actual report. We'll put our connection information and financial period up at the top. Now, let's get a list of our active projects. We'll want the project ID and the description for each. We'll use another Velixo GI function to get that data. Once we've supplied the headers for our first couple of columns, let's put the list of expense groups up at the top of each to make them easy to reference. Let's format the cells by turning on wrap text. Now that we know that information is there, we don't need to see it, so let's hide that row. Now we're ready to retrieve data from our ERP. To get actual amounts from our ERP, our actual expense column will use the Velixel project ending amount function. Let's use the Excel function wizard. We'll select the projects category, and then scroll through the list to project ending amount. Now let's enter the parameters. We'll need the name of our connection, that's in cell B1, then the name of the project. Just like when we were getting the expense groups, we can use Excel's index function to reference the first column of our list of projects. Our account group list is sitting up in cell D3. And then we simply need to reference the financial period we want. And there we have the actual expenses for each of our projects as of that specific financial period. Now, let's go get our revised budget values. We'll use the Velixo project revised budget amount function. Just like before, we fill in the parameters. the connection name, the project name, the list of account groups, and then click OK. We'll format this column to be the same as the actuals. Let's leave a small gap between this data and the variance portion, and then add the headers for our variance columns. Now it's a simple matter of subtracting the budget values from the actual expenses, formatting the column, and then computing the variance as a percentage of the budget. Now it's just a matter of hiding the account group sheet and adding any elements we need to finish up the final look. And there is our completed Project Expense Variance. We hope you have found this information useful, and we look forward to seeing you in other videos from Velixel. Thank you for watching.